Hey everyone, Rick here, and folks, it is Black Friday 2022, and we got a lot of minis and other things from our friendly local game store. So let's go through these. I may put timestamps in the description if anyone wanted to see, skip ahead to find certain things, because we have a lot of pre-painted figures here, folks. We have Dungeons & Dragons Icons of the Realms, Tomb of Annihilation, sets 1 as well as 2. We also have 3 of these new WizKids D&D Warbands. We have the Githyanki Warband, we have the Hobgoblin Warband, and of course, the Undead Armies Skeletons. It's not called a warband here, Undead Armies, but hey, it is still in that same vein. So we got one of each of those, except for the Hobgoblin Warband, which I picked up 3 total of, because this is one of my favorite of the warbands, because they have an archer. Can you believe it? If you've checked out any of my other warbands or, any of these other kind of packaging things, I'm always a fan of just the generic skeletons, or just the generic individual figures themselves. With like something like this Undead Army, I don't need a whole bunch of lizardmen skeletons in that pose, for example. Or like the Skull Lord, I don't need 7 Skull Lords or anything like that. But with these Hobgoblins, yeah, I could use a bunch of these. Now, I don't need a whole bunch of like the magician looking ones or like the scholar looking guy. Who even is that? A Devastator. But I could absolutely use a bunch of these bow and arrow guys and the sword guys. So absolutely, this is probably my favorite warband of this latest release, just because of how generic everybody is in there. And then we also picked up from a different friendly local game store, but I'm still throwing it in this haul, this 11 dice Eclipse set, which has a really cool look to the dice, and it has 2 d20s and one of each of the other polyhedrals, as well as 4 of those d6. So yeah, very excited about that. I also picked up a deck box, not for purposes of Magic the Gathering. I just thought this one looked really cool. I like the symbol in the middle there, and it is pretty high quality as well. Magnet closure, I like how it looks there, but I just needed a box that would hold at least 100 cards for Dicey Depths. I may do a video soon on some updates to Dicey Depths. We have more character classes, we have a ton more NPC interactions, we have so many more shops and other things to do inside of towns. It is fantastic. And then last but not least, Wingspan Asia. I have Wingspan, I want to say Oceania. I either have the Europe expansion or the Oceania expansion. I have to get the other one, but I haven't cracked it open either. Just base game, but I was excited about the new Asia expansion because it is 1 to 2 player standalone. It adds some extra stuff, but it can increase the base game to 6 or 7 players, so that's super cool. Absolutely love Wingspan, one of my favorite games of all time, so I grabbed that as well. So I got all of this stuff. It's time to start cracking these things open, and we're going to start with that Hobgoblin Warband. So, Black Friday, obviously, a lot of places are having deals. This specific game store that I went to, the game shop in Bellevue, Nebraska, was actually not having any deals. I still managed to get a deal, though, because of my 20% off loyalty discount, which I redeemed today on all of this stuff. So these guys are cool. Unlike in videos past where I would go through and explain what each figure is, I'm not doing that here because I just feel like I'm embarrassing myself. Because as everyone knows, I don't play Dungeons & Dragons or really any commercially available role-playing games. So when I try to pronounce some of these things that I'm not familiar with, it just is absolutely embarrassing. So we're just going to take a look at each of these figures, which are destined for Dicey Depths, and absolutely love it. This archer, this is what I want 20 of. I wish there was a pack of just 20 Hobgoblin archers. So we're gonna have to make do with 3 for now, because at $50 a pop with a 20% discount today, but otherwise Yeah, just look at these. These figures are fantastic. Oh my gosh. As someone who lives and breathes by pre-painted figures, I swear they're getting better all the time. Very interesting face on that one. My gosh. Like, the face does not match the body. You look at the body and you're like, okay, interesting. And then boom. Oh my gosh. Good Lord. But this is, as I said, one of my favorite of these warbands. Look at that guy. Oh my gosh. Hobgoblin Warlord. I believe that was what it was, even though that one is just the regular Hobgoblin. And this guy here, very interesting. Very cool. So those are the Hobgoblins. I'm not going to open the other two right now because we're moving right along to the Undead Armies Skeletons. And so just individually, each of these could be a really cool boss in a dicey depth scenario. Because Lord knows I don't have any reason to need a tiefling skeleton. Very cool. Just look at all those. You get, what is that, 7 figures here? That's fantastic. I do like, because they do have the regular living tiefling, and so they did that same shield design, which must be something related to that, right? And this is another one. This is just the generic human skeleton, of which I could have absolutely used a warband of nothing but just this one. And I'm not someone who even cares if they're the same pose or not. Just give me 20 of the skeletons with swords, 20 skeletons with spears, 20 skeletons with bows and arrows. Which, thankfully, Roll for Initiative had some fantastic skeletons. I have a video on my channel about those, so that's where I was able to get my skeleton fix, so I'm not necessarily in dire need of a whole bunch of new skeleton figures. These were just super cool, though, because of some of them, like this Lich spellcasting necromancer skeleton looking guy. Absolutely love that. Gnome skeleton, like the little staff on this one. Tattered cape. And I will say this lizard folk skeleton is actually really cool as well, in terms of just like an opponent or a mini boss or something. This guy jumps out at the party. That's very cool. And then lastly, this one here. I could see this even being a PC if you wanted to roleplay as an undead ranger. Very cool. So that was all of the undead. Let's move over now to the Githyanki. That can't be how it's pronounced, but I'm doing my best. Here we go. And these guys just scream. Each one of them is like a boss. This pack was freaking so sweet. Look at this guy. Holy smokes. This guy alone is so cool. I have no clue what that race of being he is, but God, that is such a cool figure. All of these are. Look at this one. Oh my gosh, that is so sweet. Hell yes. That's just 2 of the 7 figures that are in here. This is a fantastic NPC. Look, you can even see what's in the book. That is just a great figure. I could definitely some of these being PCs as well. Fantastic. Here's a more mundane one, almost kind of like a martial artist or a monk. I do like the hair and the beard. Shaman looking figure here. Love the staff on this one. And last, this individual. Again, PC worthy right here. Absolutely. I love that sword. Okay, so that was those. Now let's get into these box sets. Tomb of Annihilation box sets for set 1 and set 2. And these are just full of absolute villains. Oh, I should have grabbed a X-Acto knife. Give me 1 second. Okay, we are back. I suppose I could show the back of the package, oops, in case anyone actually did want to know what each of these individuals were. But my favorites here are going to be that guy, this guy, and this guy, and also probably that guy. And maybe her and maybe him. Don't necessarily care about this. What is that? What are those things called? Frog folk? No, they're not frog folk. There's something else. All right, look at them in the packaging. You got to admit, that is a handsome collection of figures. My gosh, and I am drawn to this guy, I got to admit, because I love that drake or wyvern that's on his shoulder. Mini dragon with the staff. Him or her, actually. That could be a her. Very, what's the word? Not ambidextrous. Look at this guy. Oh my gosh, I love this guy. Oops. So much armor, all these chains hanging off of him. This is a bad A figure for sure. My gosh, I love the shoulder spikes. Very cool figure. One of my favorites for sure. Now this is just a boss. An absolute boss. You gotta love the translucent purple arcane effects coming off of the staff, coming out of the hand, the swirling robes, the headdress, everything that's going on here is a fantastic figure. And I gotta say, I'm actually really liking this guy. That is another one that is, oh, look at the hand. Look at the hand clasping the end of the robe. Oh, that is fantastic. And another hand up here. Very cool. Look at all that. And there's another hand up there. This guy's being tormented by severed hands. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. This guy may warm up to me. You know, I have a lot of those little, what are they called? Grebes or what is it? Those little frog looking people, and I suppose this is their chief. I have enough of those little, I call them frog folk in Dicey Depths. I have enough of those figures where this could be a little boss, a little chief for them. So that actually, I'm not too unhappy about that guy. Very cool mage sorceress looking figure. In Dicey Depths, we just introduced the warlock figure. I think she would make a fantastic warlock. Character class, not figure. And then last but not least is this half snake guy. Come on, there we go. Look at this guy. How freaking cool is he? He's like a mummy serpent. Look how thick that tail is. My gosh. Flaming sword. Yeah, that guy is just so freaking cool. All right. It is on to set 2. We don't have to pronounce any crazy names. I am loving life right now. Again, back of the box for those of you who are interested in the names or who any of those who know who Wanti the Nightmare Speaker is, or the Bag of Nails, Dragonbait, Prince Na. So some of these weren't too bad. Albino Dwarf Warrior. That's funny. An Albino Dwarf Warrior. Here's this collection. Not as excited as Collection 1. Like Collection 1, I pretty much loved every figure in there except maybe 1 or 2. This one, I'm really liking 1 or 2 figures, maybe 3 or 4. Starting with this one. This is just a ranger to end all rangers right here. Great, great looking fig. Super excited for that. Next up, we have this individual who's also very cool. Another NPC-worthy figure. Then we have this bag of nails. I mean, there's got to be a story behind that, right? The headdress, it looks like, I don't know if that's a tabaxi, is it? It's like a leopard folk. And, but there you have it. Very interesting looking figure there. Next is one of the other ones I was really excited about because I could use her as a village leader, village shaman, village elder, maybe a shaman herself, some kind of mystic. Yeah, so many uses for her. Here's one I wasn't the most excited about. I don't know if a prince, right? So it's a child, which is fine because, you know, when I populate a village, there aren't a whole lot of kids running around. So someone like this would be a welcome addition for variety's sake, if nothing else. Next up, we have this. And so this is another one of those. Look at how long the tail is on this one, all coiled over itself. Very interesting figure there. And then last but not least, because this is our good buddy, the albino dwarf warrior. And I mean, my gosh, he is fresh off a Thanksgiving dinner. He looks exactly like I do when I get up in the morning, essentially, minus the arm tattoos and the face paint. Very cool figure indeed. Cannot wait to pop that guy down and see what people think of it. All right, so I believe that is it. We unpackaged a whole bunch of figures, which I'm excited about. I just unpackaged a whole bunch of those Pathfinder figures. We also had the deck box. We had those dice. We had a couple more Hobgoblin sets, and of course, Wingspan Asia. I may do a video on that separately. Maybe not. There's enough of those out there already. But anyway, folks, I hope your Thanksgiving went fantastic for those of you in the United States. I hope Black Friday you scored some great deals. And for everyone else, thank you all so much for watching. I do truly appreciate it. And until next time.